Hey, I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering. Thanks for checking out this lesson on how to play smooth. A lot of guitarists wrestle with a choppiness in their playing, a robotic kind of sound in their playing, and it sounds, and you end up with this kind of sort of a choppy, jerky sound to your playing, and a lot of players wrestle with that. So that's what this lesson is going to address. I'm going to teach you some simple ways to take that robot, that jerkiness, that choppiness out of your playing and get to a more smoother sound, more professional sound. I'm a guitarist, professional guitarist here in Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, there's a download that goes for this. It's a short little PDF that goes all free, and you can check out the YouTube description down below for that PDF. All right, so let's talk about what the problem is. The problem is when you play a single note line or even chords, it ends up with a very kind of a jagged, uneven sort of a sound to it. That's sort of a sound to it. Even when you play chords, it sounds like... Now, there's this brokenness in the playing, and that's one of the things that a lot of players wrestle with. So one of the ways that you can address that and change that from that to this, I was playing the same notes. I'm playing the same notes as I was before. But suddenly that sounds like music, and this sounds, you can't quite make out what's happening there. The difference is adding a level of smoothness to your playing. It's not the notes. The notes were the same. So what's the difference? What's the difference? It's not the notes. It's the length of the notes. It's how we're attacking the notes. It's how we're approaching the notes in the touch of our playing. So a lot of times learning guitarists, they think it's all about the notes. Notes are important, but it's also about now the phrasing and how you can build a larger line. A book is made up of letters. Yes, the letters are important, but what's also important is this story that they're telling, and that's what we're talking about musically. How do you get past the notes into this smoothness in your playing? Well, first of all, the first most important thing is just to become aware that this is in your playing. That tendency to be stilted and robotic and stiff in your playing is a natural thing. And a lot of times, most players just aren't aware of it. They think, gosh, I'm playing the notes. Why isn't it sounding right? Here's the deal. Now we're going to talk about your touch on the instrument. So for single note lines, it's just kind of awakening your ear to smoothing out a line, to not playing short little jabs of notes, but to make them into one smooth line. So you'll notice one of the things that's happening is everything's overlapping each other. Well, what is involved with doing that overlapping, that dovetailing of notes over each other? That's where the magic is at. Okay, so it's not just, if you look at it on a page, it's just written note after note after note, but on a guitar, you can make things ring together. How do I do that? Well, you keep your fingers down longer. And first of all, you have to get your ear used to kind of sensing where notes are ending. We think about the beginnings of notes, but we don't think about how the notes are ending. And this is what I want to kind of just awaken you to, that notes have an ending and you can control when notes end. And the longer you can, generally, the longer you can let notes ring, the more you can overlap these notes, dovetailing these things where one note is starting and while another one is still ending. That is where this beautiful richness of mixture of tones happens. So how do we do that? We keep our fingers down. first thing, keep your fingers down longer than you think you need to. Well, if I kept my fingers down all of the way, then I end up forming this beautiful little chord at the end. But if I just read the line, it would go, and I would wonder where the music is at. Because I'm just playing each note after the other, not realizing that if I hold them all out together, I get this beautiful chord. And that's generally true with guitar. On piano, they've got a little pedal for this. They don't have to think about this. But on a guitar, we've got to think about this. I've got to keep, for single notes and for chords, I've got to keep my fingers down longer than I would think you would think they would need to go. My general rule is, man, it is the exception that I play things short and staccato like that. The rule is that things are always ringing into each other. These are all ringing because I'm not muting with this hand, either by my pick or by my hand or by this hand moving off of the fingers. Moving off the fretboard too soon. Keep that hand on the fretboard. Keep those pressure on these notes. It's a legato, is a musical term for it, a legato style of playing. Even more so than, a trumpet could do a legato line as well, but this is even more than that. We have things that are ringing over into each other. So while notes are holding, other notes are moving. So you'll notice, even on this little D chord I'm playing, these two are holding, and then this one is doing all the movement. Instead of each note happening individually. Now these are holding, while this one's holding, this one never left his pressure. So that way, these are all still ringing together. The picture is like this. You can tell somebody, hey, you want to know how to dance? You put your foot here, and then you put your foot here, then you put your foot here, and you put your foot there. Well, a robot could do that. Boom, clunk, clunk, clunk. But that's not the dance move because it's a flow. It's a flow of movement. And at this point your foot is hitting there, and this point your footing is hitting there. But the larger thought is that it's a flow going through that. Same thing with the guitar playing. It's a little dance of keeping fingers down as long as you can. So how do you practice that? How do you practice little exercises like that? All right, well, I'm going to give you a quick little exercise. Take a look at the PDF that you have there. And I wrote down just a chord connecting exercises. For single note lines, you want to play the lines with an even rhythm, not speeding up and slowing down, and becoming aware of how each note is flowing into the next. But for chords, you can keep certain fingers holding, and therefore the string keeps ringing, while others are moving so that you still get the motion of the line. So how do we practice that? Well, I have no magic for this. This is the only exercise a little exercise that I can think that can help you with this idea. All right, so this is dealing with chords. We'll deal with single notes in a second. For chords, so look at this simple exercise. I've got a C chord. I've got an A minor. I thought I'd throw an F2 in there. A G. Next line, E minor. Just basically going through these arpeggios. Okay, a rather plain sounding progression. But if I play it slow, and the game is to let every note ring as long as physically possible on the instrument. Okay, so I'm not lifting up notes before their time unless I absolutely have to. And even when I do it then, it's at the very last minute. So let me play what this should sound like. time. Listen to how the notes are flowing over each other. All of these notes are washing over each other. All right, so what am I doing here? Well, first of all, on this C chord, I'm playing the entire C chord. I'm not going C, E, G, C. I'm letting it all play. And then I'm going to go to the A minor 7th. Well, what needs to happen here? I need to hang on to this C. And the only thing that really needs to happen is my third finger needs to come off so that I can get that A. That's the only thing that really has to change between those two measures. So everything is ringing, so the C has to stop ringing eventually when you get to the A. You have to change this, that's on the same string. But the E can keep ringing through all of that. The G can keep ringing through all of that. The C can keep ringing through all of that. So at the end, I have the full chord playing. What does it go to next? I'm in this shape. To go to F2, all I have to do is put my third finger down on the 4th string. Add my pinky to this high G there. And then I keep the high G ringing while the rest of my hand finds the lower part of the G chord. Hold on to the C, hold on to the C, hold on to the G, and everything is ringing through. Okay, I know this sounds like a really simple concept. This separates the men from the boys in guitar playing. If you listen back to recordings of yourself and you sound all choppy and stuff like that, you need to play with dumb little exercises like this of when to let notes up and when to keep fingers down. You want to keep your fingers down as long as possible until absolutely the last second that they have to move, and then you only move the finger that you need to move. I'm only moving the third finger. Then I put the third finger back on, add the pinky, third finger moves to 6th string. There you go. Look at the next line. That G is still holding through and the B is holding through. Now all I have to do is take that 6th string G and turn it into a low E. But my G and my B are still hanging through from the previous chord. Then I add my C down. It's a simple concept, but very tricky on how to get your fingers to move when other things are being held. All right, so how do I do that? Well, you can take a simple exercise. Let's do it. Let's say I'm doing I'm going to hold on the 3rd string with my 3rd finger at the 5th fret this C. Okay, and I'm going to hold that while I'm going to move other things. Let's say I did a scale. I'm going to go from C to E to E, C, D, E, F. You know, that maybe I can even get up to the A, so I end up with something that sounds like this. And I try and keep everything holding down as much as possible. C, then I add the D, then I add the E, so all 3 of them are ringing at this point. The only thing has to change is the F is going to play that on the 2nd string. What is that, 5th, 6th fret? So I have the E and the F ringing together. Then I move my first finger down to the G. What if I needed to play the A? Well, then I have to move my pinky. He has to climb off the F, put the A. ringing notes through. I remember the first time I heard this concept, I was listening to Adrian Legg, a fascinating English guitarist, fingerstyle guitarist, and he played this lick. And I heard that and I thought, what in the world is that? Everything's ringing through. But it's really just a scale. It's kind of a pentatonic scale with a couple extra added notes. But everything is ringing through, and it gives you the illusion that you have this huge chord. I'm hitting the C. Let me just teach you that lick. It'll be fun. Got a sixth string. You have your second finger on the C. Then I hit the fourth string open D. Then I go first finger on the fifth string to hit the E. Okay. I add the open G to it. Everything's ringing. Then in order to hit the A, my first finger is going to come down and hit this A here while everything else is ringing. How long can I keep this, alternating strings thing going? And I add my open B to it. Well, next I need to hit a C, so I got to reach over here with my finger, my pinky on the fourth string at the 10th fret and hit the C. If I want a D, while I'm holding this C, I add my first finger to this third string, 7th fret, to catch the D on the third string. What's next? An open E. Okay. There you go. And if I go down, just go backwards. E, D, C, B, A, G, E, D, C. And I had never heard anything like that in my life. It changed my playing. Figuring out that lick and then going, all the things you can do with it. Now other players, they can add harmonics and all kinds of stuff to it, but basically the idea is you're letting notes ring together. And so that's a little exercise. If you're doing single note stuff, you can do a little simple little C scale, C, D, E, F, G, A. During the course of that scale, you pretty much get every note ringing with every finger except for the second finger. He's not really doing anything in that exercise. If I wanted to work on my chords, I do it slow. Get everything to ring through. Work with a metronome. If you accidentally ring or shorten one note, then do it again. Don't let yourself be sloppy. Strive to get a connected sound. Once you can play it perfectly, then crank up the metronome a little bit. Still keeping the ringing. It's tricky. It's tricky. Pretty much any one of us can get up on our tippy toes, but a ballerina can get up on her tippy toes and stay there for a long time and still do other stuff. That's what I'm talking about. It's that level of control. Okay. Yes, one of our, Jeffrey is saying, I keep telling myself to make it sing, not talk. Very good. You want to think of a melodic line. That's what you're playing. A lot of times we're just thinking notes, and it becomes two-dimensional. It becomes flat. And when you add this dimension of strings overlapping each other, sounds overlapping each other, it suddenly takes on a third level of complexity that means sounds wonderful. So there you go. That's a little lesson for you in playing smooth. Now it's not. I can show it to you in a couple of minutes. It takes a long time to get it. It's about control, but work on it. Work on it in your own playing. This is what takes you to the next level, is getting this level of control in your playing, keeping some fingers down while other fingers are moving. Hey, I'm Steve Krenz for Guitar Gathering. Learn all you can. Keep up the great work. Your music matters. We'll catch you next time.